Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, Boston. I hope everyone's doing well today, and I hope you had a very exciting time hacking away since yesterday morning on some really intricate problems that face our planet today. We, as the organizing team, as well as I'm sure all of you, are very keen on knowing what each of you have come up with for our presentations starting now. Before we go there, let me quickly get you through some logistics of the day. The schedule for today looks like this. We have the this session right now where we will talk a little bit about the judging rules and introduce the judges. At 1:15 we will start our presentations. They will go on for roughly 2 hours because we have a number of teams lined up. Each team gets 5 minutes to present, and we have 5 minutes for the judges to ask questions. The the actual judging process, the judges will convene at 3:15, and around 3:45 we will announce the winners. And at the end, we will have our closing remarks and wrap up yet another exciting NASA ISAC Boston Hackathon event. Right? So, judging rules. You should have already done step one and step two that you see on the screen here in front of you. I think most of you have. You should have registered yourself at the ISAC website. You should have submitted your your uh, your submission via the link that was posted on the general channel, and you should have practiced hopefully a little bit to make sure you can hit your presentations within the 5 minute mark. Step three, which is now once you're done submitting, I'm sure you have at this point, we will begin the judging process. So I think we've seen all the projects in our submission page at this time. So just to introduce the judges, we have an exciting lineup for you, a balance of judges who can evaluate you on all the criteria that this event as well as NASA cares about. So starting, we have Chris Carr. Chris Carr is an assistant professor at the Georgia University of Technology's School of Aerospace Engineering, Earth and Atmospheric Sciences. He is an engineer and scientist by training in the aeroastro electrical engineering, medical physics, and molecular biology fields. Chris has been a mentor to Innovative as an organization as well as a judge on many occasions at ISAC. Brandon Allen is a staff astronomer at the Harvard College Observatory, and he has been primarily engaged in the development of space-based X-ray telescopes and missions for use in planetary sciences and for time-domain astrophysics. Brandon, as well, has been a mentor to Innovative and has been a judge at the hackathon for many years now. Dr. Masami Onoda is currently the director of JAXA at the Washington, D.C. office, and she represents the JAXA in the Americas. Dr. Onoda has extensive experience in international affairs, satellite applications, and industry relations. She has held several international positions, including at the Intergovernmental Group on Earth Observations, the Secretariat in Geneva, Switzerland, and at the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs in Vienna, Austria. You heard from Dr. Onoda at the beginning of the event, the kickoff. Sonia Huang is a technologist at Zeus Health. She is also a co-founder of Modo Labs, where she is the director of data analytics. She has a background from MIT in economics and a PhD in urban and regional planning. Sonia has also been a mentor and an organizer at ISAC in previous years. We're very happy to have her back as a judge this year. In addition to this, if you have used Kintone, we have Yoke Fujibayashi, who comes from Kintone and will be judging you for the best use of the Kintone API. Yoke is a Japanese samurai who loves low code, no code. He's very excited about that domain, and he's been at Kintone for more than 3 years and deeply understands Kintone and Kintone integration. For those of you who were in the mentor channel, you would have interacted with Yoke with any Kintone questions you had. Judging criteria, what do our judges look out for? Impact. the quality and the quantity that this problem can solve. What scale does it solve it on? What's the quality of the solution? Does it solve a big problem, a small problem, and who will it inspire? Creativity, thinking out of the box. We want NASA and obviously the Boston programming as well. We value creativity, thinking out of the box. Are you doing something novel? Are you doing something that hasn't been attempted before? Or are you doing something that's incremental on something that already exists? Both are fine. You should be talking about it in your presentation as well. Validity, is the solution scientifically valid? Will it do what it sets out to do, and will it actually work? Relevance, you've picked a challenge and you're submitting your solution to a challenge. Does the solution actually respond to the challenge that it's being submitted for? Is it complete, or does it have a long way to go? Either is fine. If it has a ways to go, I would hope that you would tell the judges what the next steps are in your solution. But importantly, is it technically feasible? A demo would be great as you show your project today, and how usable or user friendly is the solution. And finally, nothing happens without your ability to storytell and present. How well will you present your project? How well will you answer the questions in the Q&A round? And are you going to be effective in telling the story for why your solution is a unique solution to the problem at hand? Right? We kept this a little bit of a secret from you, but we do have some nice swag for you for if you successfully submit your challenges and you fill out our survey at the end of this programming. So you have some nice coasters coming your way with the logos of both the International Space Apps Challenge for Boston as well as Invaders.
Yes.
And we also have a 3D sticker for you with the ISAC Boston logo. All we ask is that you provide us with your shipping address that has to be in the conterminous United States. So please fill out our survey at the end of this session, where we will capture all of that information from you and be able to ship you your swag. In addition, we also have a Kintone API prize, which Yoke will be judging and will be sending out a special swag bundle for each member of the winning team. Once we are done with the Boston event, the local judges will select 2 projects, and these are the 2 projects that will win this event. But remember, this is all about collaboration. The winning part is just a way for us to select the ones that we felt stood out amongst the other submissions, and nothing more than that, so don't worry. But the 2 projects that do get submitted will be nominated for global judging. That this team here will be our team here will be nominating. And you would actually the winning team would create a video that's 30-second long and a slide deck that goes up to 7 slides. We'll contact you once you're done with this event to tell you what you need to do there. And you of course have information on Space Apps Challenge website for global judging. But don't worry about that just yet. Just focus on doing a great job presenting today and now, right? Judging process timeline, I'll go over this very briefly. Today, once we're done with the programming, we are going to pick your winners, and we are going to submit them for universal judging. And at some point, NASA and all the partner agencies will convene and look at all the submissions across all the teams across the world and come up with the finalists. And after the finalists are selected, out of the 40 finalist teams, they will select 10 global award winners. And those will be announced via their social media website. And they will be a prize where you're invited to watch a launch on a date that is decided by NASA. Okay? So this is something I just went over. So team presentations, if you are all ready for it, we can start the presentations now at exactly 1:15.
Oh, there's next page.
So who's presenting?
No,
This
next
is your...
page, please.
Hi, hello, can you hear me?
Wait. Why you skip the please?
Somebody's asking.
Huh?
Yes, we can hear you. Whoever was speaking, we could hear you, yes.
Yeah, so let me share my screen really quick too. Oh, sorry, okay, yeah.
Would you hold on for 1 second? I know team database. Let me just at least present the lineup first quickly, just before you go there. So give me 1 second. I'm going to take over your screen,
All right. Yeah.
just so everyone's aware of the lineup. Sorry. So just so you know, and you can make a note of this, all teams. Database for Environmental Injustice by Madhurst goes first. ZKai NASA Project by Space goes second.
Z-Kai.
On the Trail to Mars, Can You Keep Your Crew Alive by Journey to Io goes third. COVID Map by COVID Map goes fourth. Down to Earth by Down to Earth goes fifth. How Do You Bring the Floor Out of a Faraway Planet by Zasa 2 goes sixth. From Lucy D by Artist of the Future goes seventh. And Web Origami Design Challenge by Jimmy in the Box goes eighth. So just make sure you know your lineup. And I'm going to hand over the control to Madhurst to start with their presentation. So just if you want to take a screenshot, if you want to memorize this, up to you. Know your lineup before we start. Okay, so I'm going to stop my share and hand over to Madhurst.
All right. Thank you, Harish. And yeah, let me share my screen. Can you all see my screen right now?
Yes. I'm not in presentation mode. We can just see your slides. All right, now you can see the presentation mode.
Yeah. Okay. So hello, everyone. Hello, judges. And my name is Jiang Yifei Zhu. And we are the team Madhurst. And the challenge we choose is the Space for Changes. And our project name is called Database for Environmental Injustice. And my team members are Lucas Huang and Zhaorong Liu. So for our own version of interpret this challenge, we think the challenge is talking about that because of the unpredictable climate change, people in lower socioeconomic classes and indigenous populations in many countries are facing challenges to make living. The lacking resources include clean water, air, food, and safe housing need to be highlighted and resolved by the supporting from others. At first, we should have a solution to let people see it and realize their humanity suffering on this situation. And then we're gonna try to provide some data resources to enable people to participate and help all together. So during this challenge, for our own focus, our own project is those two focus. The first one is to light regions where marginalized populations are facing a higher burden from environmental hazards. And the second is the solution to bring about equitable outcomes. And in our version is to providing data support to enable more people to come to help. So during the process we solving this challenge, we found two challenges. The first challenge is that we actually don't know like how we could really highlight the regions that are suffering, are having the environmental injustice. And we are really hard to find a real threshold on different variables to really define that if this place is suffering those kind of injustice or not. And then there is a book called like Numbers Doesn't Lie. And this book has inspired me that we could use infant mortality rate, which could describe if this region have a good life quality or not, which could like having a connection between if this place have a wonderful resources or not. And the second challenge we're facing is that we found the data in NASA Earth data is really huge, both in size, amount, dimension, structure, etc. And they're not well documented, and people are really hard, like when we see those data, like we are really hard to understand what the data are talking about. And you could see like in this picture, the the shape of the data is like 361 times 576. It's just huge of numbers on different variables. So we are trying to really find a solution to decrease the dimension to help us to understand those data better, to be easier to understand those data. And here it comes to our solution, the database for environmental injustice. We first design an algorithm that ranks the level of resources insufficient on country degree to review the problem on marginalized populations, accomplished by comparing to countries that are not marginalized, such as US, EU, and other developed countries. And we also built or is trying to build a distributed database with selected modified Earth information binded with the ranking system, so that people, when people see this ranking system, they could just click on the country they want to focus, and they will have the data relate, which gonna show them that how the resources is different from the better country, like maybe they have lack of the water or lack of the rainfall, or there is some extremely weather change that makes this region becoming environmental injustice. And our future goal for this project is to emphasize the region population with the water situation as precise as possible. And because we know it's pretty hard to really highlight a region that is under environmental injustice. And right now for our project, mainly is using the infant mortality rate, and we want to add more. And also, the second goal is to feed with important Earth data that enable researchers to analyze the issue that help provide solution together. And maybe people can also use those data to do a machine learning to try to predict some other area if they're gonna suffer the environmental injustice or not in the future. So here is the ranking. We use Python to crowd the infant mortality rate from the website, and we put those data into the Kintong. And we are also trying to add the Earth data into the Kintong, but right now, like, it's still in the process. And here I could show some process we did by using Python to read those NC4 files, and we have generated some data, and now it's just trying to export to the Kintong and combine those data all together. And I think that's it for my presentation. Thank you.
Does anyone have a question regarding the project?
I have a question.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah.
Who do you envision as the main user for your tool?
We were thinking researchers to use the tool, because as we navigate the NASA website, we found it really, well, what's the word? Intimidating to use it. It's a lot of filters, and then well, sometimes it could be really helpful, or sometimes it could be really harmful. For instance, we spent like yesterday quite some time navigating the website and try to export the data, and then once we export it, we were expecting more I don't know, more common formats, but we got like the NC4, and then we have never deal with like an NC4 file, so we have to go and look up like how does that look like, what library we should use, and then how are they compact into that data format. So I don't know if, like, you know, maybe researchers, they are trained with the skill to, you know, to navigate those files formats, but we are trying to make it like easier so that people don't have to, you know, go through the whole hassle. And then as they really want to just look up like which country has, you know, it's marginalized because of some resources. So we're trying to like make that like easier so they can, you know, query by, I don't know, for instance, maybe soil condition, right? And then we can query that by the ranking that we are trying to, with the algorithm that we are trying to build.
Yeah, because we think this topic is pretty big. Like we can just use an app or a database to help people really help those people who are suffering on those environmental injustice. So we kind of come up this solution to actually help the researchers and scientists to be more convenient to access those data.
Thank you.
Printing out. Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that I would encourage all the teams just to keep your answers as short as you can while addressing the question. I think there's a couple other questions right now as well.
All right, sorry.
Yeah.
No worries. Thank you.
Next question.
I guess I'll go. So it sounded like you were initially kind of going for this infant mortality rate as an outcome variable. And I'm just wondering if you had actually found any sort of relation between this outcome variable and the things, the sort of inputs that you're looking at from the NASA data, like the, you know, access to water and soil quality. Because I feel like infant mortality rate has a lot of different confounding factors. And so I'm not sure if,
Yeah.
you know, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point. Yesterday we were brainstorming what could be the outcome variable for the you know, the project B to be like really precise and you know, not be a bias because of other factors. So we were trying to look for, you know, some human development index, and then but we thought that it could be one thing, but they also mentioned that those could be also, you know, my team member mentioned that it could be altered because of like war factor or something. So, and then he brought up like the infant mortality, and then he said that he read it from the book. So we decided to agree and then proceed from that point. But yeah, that's not like we're not 100% certain that that is the best outcome variable. But we thought that would be like a feasible for the given amount of time frame.
Hi, should I go with the question, or are you finished? I don't want to.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think that that was mine. Yeah.
Okay, so I was trying to understand a little bit better the scope of what you're thinking about doing. So as far as I can tell, what it looks like, your primary goal right now is to create a more user-friendly database of NASA data together with, sorry, I'll hurry up, Misaki, sorry about that. So very quickly, it looks like you're trying to create a user-friendly database with NASA data and combine it with economic data, economic indicators, so that researchers can grab them from a single repository. And that way you're hoping that it'll streamline the research process. I guess in some sense, are you're talking about doing some sort of recuration or better organization of the data. Am I right in my understanding, or did I miss the point?
Yes, I think you're right. Like that's our point, like trying to rearrange those data to make it more simple for people to look at. Yeah.
Okay. One comment that I would make is that is a very massive undertaking. So understanding all of these data sets is, even a single, bit of data, as you noticed, come from various instruments, and there are various factors that go into that. So just a warning for your project, that is a very large undertaking, but you can certainly think about ways to focus it down to a few specific variables, which it sounds like you're doing. Anyway, thank you for the presentation. Sorry, a little bit long on the question.
Yeah, thank you for the
Thank you for the questions. Yeah.
I have one quick question for use of Kinton. So when you get the data from NASA, do you only add the record to Kinton, or do you also use put method to update some data in Kinton?
Oh, well, at this point, we weren't able to upload the data to Kinton yet because of the time constraint. So, but we were trying to like restructure the data and then upload it into Kinton at some point. So that was our goal. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Zika NASA project by space.
Hello. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
So this is our project, Zika to Mars. Introduction. So my name is Yusei and I'm the leader of this project.
My name is Sota. I made the models of the rocket in Tinkercad.
Hi, my name is Maito. I did all the editing and reviewing. My name is Kiana and I did the writing. Our goals. We will be telling you guys what kind of rockets we will be using and how humans or people will be living inside the rocket. And at last, we will be telling how we will launch the rockets to Mars and how we will land on the Mars. So launch off requirements. The launch off requirements, number 1, is it must be 15 miles per hour or less. And it must be perfect weather. No rain, no snow, no thunder. And you must shoot in a perfect area, like a wide area.
I'm model these are the model that I made in Tinkercad. We will tell you about that later.
When it goes out from the Earth atmospheres, this is how like the rocket will be looking like. And then when it passes the moon, the rocket will be looking like this, and this is how it will be flying. And then when it goes really like close to Mars, it goes to the 3rd step, and it'll be like this. And then this will be how the rocket will land on Mars. Health. We will be checking the average health condition, such as our muscular and respiratory and muscle mass for people who's taking the trip to Mars. And the most important one is gravity and the environment. And the next will be entertainment. In the rockets, we will be having like television, games, gravity, indoor basketball, or maybe indoor sports, and Alexa sometimes, and a running machine. Oops. Any questions or comments? Comments or questions?
Sure. I think this is really great. I wanted to ask you, when you are landing on the surface of the planet, do you use a parachute or are you just using the thruster?
The thruster.
Yeah.
So sort of like a Mars Perseverance or a Curiosity. You're not trying to use a crane, are you?
No.
No. And when you get to Mars, outside of the spacecraft, what do you want to look for? What's the thing that you'd like to find?
Project is really about maybe 300 years later or so, like when people can when people can live in Mars, we're making this project like how we can get to Mars when we can live there. So yeah.
Okay. And in 300 years, will Mars look the same, do you think? Or will there be a lot of people, or will there be a few people?
Maybe there might be a few hundred people, I guess, after like probably when the scientists start to know that like you can live in Mars, maybe there might be like a few hundred people or so. And and our project is like we're trying to support so people can go to Mars easily. So that's really our project, I guess.
Does anybody else have questions?
I would, could you show your slide about entertainment one more time? And I wanted to ask, this is, I think, really important. I think all of us during the pandemic have probably taken advantage of entertainment.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, what do you think is most important here, and how do you think it's going to help the astronauts?
I guess Alexa maybe, because Alexa can like do a lot of things for you. I mean, it's not like it can bring you lunches or anything, but it like Alexa sometimes like talks to you as a friend. So I think it's really helpful for them, and I've experienced that when it was in COVID.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, how many people do you plan to carry on the rocket that you're planning?
And
Maybe
Warsaw?
like 10 or so. Maybe like 3 families. Like
Wow.
and because it's pretty big, I guess.
Yeah.
So if you want to do like let them have a lot of room for 10 people, that's going to be pretty big.
Yeah,
and then it will become heavy, and you gotta have it will cost more to launch.
Yeah.
So that kind of trade-off
Our
is
thinking
maybe
was-
something.
Our thinking was to make it at least like under 20 people. So like that's our goals. Maybe like 15 around there.
Okay.
There is 2 floors in there, so
2 floors.
yeah.
Have you thought about food?
Foods, we've talked about it. It just we didn't really put it in the Google slide.
Okay. Well, food's a very important entertainment as well,
Yeah.
and it's essential also for the health.
Is that the last questions or okay? And so these are the links and like the resources we use. We use Tinkercad for modeling the spaceship, and we use this health and link called Space. We research about what's like the most important things in space. And this is our team. It's like our team link. And then this is our spaceship model.
Yeah.
And then yeah, that's really it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Team Space. That was awesome. Next up, we have On the Trail to Mars. Can you keep your crew alive by Journey to Low?
Okay. Hello. But I'm trying to. I am trying to share my screen. Yes. My name is Catherine Dansford because I know the clock is ticking, and I would like to say I felt qualified to take on this challenge because my parents were teachers in public school. I'm a Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators member, and I went to an engineering college, but I had 20 years of theater and I worked off Broadway, even though I cannot handle a simple a simple Yes, I want this. Okay. Okay. Remember those old-fashioned text adventures, choose your own adventure? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Remember the choose your own adventure books that swept the nations back in the 80s? And the old-fashioned text adventures like Zork? The time has come back for them now. And my team built an HTML, a Twine game on the platform that we could put it on everybody's cell phone. The reason why I believe the time is now is because 168 million children were out of school due to COVID under the age of 14. That was a number given by UNICEF. That being said, how do you get kids to read? Well, they have cell phones. And this is global, around the world. We found out that, and we have citations, saying most kids, there's 51% of kids have a cell phone by the age of 11. It's a smartphone. And we decided on the challenge, which was to get a crew of get children to have an avatar game where they could get where they could get a crew to Mars or beyond. Journey to Io, we picked Io, which was a radioactive moon off of Jupiter, and say, all right, during the whole course of the journey, could you gamify NASA's interactive experiments and gamify the Boston Museum of Science, which has 700 interactive experiments. That means 52 times 2 lessons plans a year for 6 years. So it's an ongoing series. It's a soap opera serial for kids. The challenges they face are treachery and things that come with isolation, radiation poisoning, real science experiments we rolled in that could be updated on a weekly basis, like tune in next week. It would have a series arc called the series Bible, just like Babylon 5, only we had to keep it PG-13, not PG-13, I'm sorry, rated PG, because only the 8th graders were over the age of 13. And I've been writing for, as I said, I've been writing for theater for 20 years. So that's it. And I really wish, can you see my screen? I can only.
Don't see your screen.
Have you been sharing your screen? Because I think you're talking about something we're not seeing.
I had a game walkthrough that I was trying to show you.
Do you need any help trying to share your screen?
Yes, please.
At the bottom, you'll see a green arrow that's pointed up. If you click that,
Yes.
then you can select a particular window.
Yes. I see desktop 1 allows Zoom to share your screen, open system preferences, and location services, security and privacy. And
If you can click the share the screen or to share a particular window, otherwise you might have to change your settings first and actually leave the meeting and rejoin.
oh, that would be terrible. The firewall is on, I think, is a problem. And it won't let me turn it off. Anyway, I do apologize.
Kat, does
The-
anybody else
You're
on your
doing a good
team?
job without it. Why don't you just
How-
keep going
what-
if there's more?
Okay, we started off with the idea that we had a cross between the current Earth that we really do live on has a climate crisis. So some very brave scientists came up with an idea to develop clean energy, but the rest of Earth didn't really feel safe about it because it was even scarier than nuclear. So they didn't send them to the moon. They didn't send them to Mars. They sent them all the way to Io. Io is radioactive, heavy gravitational forces, but the scientists didn't want to stop there when they discovered that Earth was solving its own problems because we just weren't sitting on their duffs, the rest of us on this planet. Flash forward to 2075, where a huge garden freighter is being built in space, not on Earth so that it can't be lifted safely, not in Earth orbit, but an actual space dock between Earth and the moon. This is taking the heirloom seeds that were left high and dry and in the warmth when the Arctic Circle started melting and Antarctica started melting, and all that the UN had put aside was in danger for biodiversity. And they're saying, we're going to start trading it to the moon, we're going to start trading it to Mars, and we're going to go farther than Io. So that's story arc. So everybody on the ship starts out as a botanist. You're just a farmer, but you're a farmer by collegiate standards. The you of the choose your own adventure, I apologize. Yes? Oh, is time up?
Yeah, but you can, yeah, you can finish it up. Maybe.
Okay. The you of your choose your own adventure, we scheduled this, we could have the whole thing done over 6 years for a cost of $20,800 per year for the writers. Oh, there we are. There's our everything in blue is a hyperlink. Everything in blue is a hyperlink. When you were seeing the door to the bridge, that's where your adventure starts. The journey to Io you want to look at is just the summary I gave you. It's also a history lesson in greed, based on the Oklahoma Sooners and the gold rush era, and everybody going out for themselves and saying we're going to be enterprise. And you find out that the scientists are working on almost faster than light drive in secret, and they're using Io's gravity well. That's the only reason they're tolerating this really radioactive moon, is because of the dance that the 4 major moons of Jupiter perform. So there's real science going on. And the botany lab is actually getting kids to go to the Museum of Science old-fashioned can you cuddle rose petals with dyed water and sugar. And it all the way through the text, you have the soap opera drama appropriate for kids. That's on and on and on. And you have real science facts and saying, well, could this be? Like, for example, the main character wears a bomber jacket because he changed the protein vats to grow thicker meat from cellular. I live in Biotechville, Worcester, from cellular samples. And he got something that was not only good for clothing, ethically sourced leather, but he got something that could be used for victims of chemical burns. So there's also the potential of seeding this with patent crawls from expired patents in the United States Patent and Trademark Office. And then saying this
Can
really
you try
exists.
to finish in 30 seconds, please?
Done.
Thank you. Okay, great.
Any questions?
Yeah, I do have one.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this challenge is all about using NASA resources. How did you or how do you plan to use NASA data or resources in this?
Well, the NASA imagery database is a wonderful treasure trove. It's just outstanding. We had all our pictures from NASA imagery database. Also, we had to learn things like radiation poisoning. The original challenge set was like, could you get them past radiation poisoning? So we said the ship was actually built in space because it was built of stone. It's a stone crystal ship of cubic zirconia, quartz, and the oxygen in the cubic zirconia and the quartz bind because it's zirconium dioxide with an inside clad of titanium, because you have a very brittle but hard, you have a very brittle, but the ship is hard, so it can take radiation poisoning and ionization and survive. Also, there's things like we had to deal with the problem of gravity. So the whole ship rotates and spins at about 17 to 18 seconds. You'll get one revolution of the ship, and as it goes forward, it sculls on electromagnetic engines, which aren't very powerful right now. But think of a crew on the Charles, cruise ships on the Charles. It's got 6 skulls on either side that fire twice a day, and once every 12 hours. And the crew does not suffer the lack of gravity. They've got a strange gravity, but they don't suffer the lack of gravity that the people who went out sooner than them, the Jupiter Sooners, who haven't landed on Io but are in orbit around Jupiter playing with the gravity, they're suffering bone decay. They're suffering the renal failure that goes when you have too much calcium in your blood. And all of this is aimed at kids who like the gory details like Goosebumps or Old Nancy Drew Hardy Boys or Babylon 5. You know, I was reading Stephen King when I was 12, but my mom didn't know. So I had to keep it Disney fun, like The Little Mermaid or Lion King. So that's where a PG can take you. It doesn't have to be really toned down. It just has to be, it all depends on how you handle it. Because kids are experiencing real life. And someday, the series does end with, they don't know if they've contacted intelligent life.
Sorry, it's time.
Oh, bye.
Thank you. Very interesting. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can I ask a very quick question?
Yes.
So I see that you use the Kintone API, but how do you? I didn't see that in your presentation how you integrate the Kintone API with your project.
The Kintone API was a repository for everything we had, versions of stuff. So in the library documentation form, so we wouldn't lose version 1 of the game where we'd phrase something one way or had particular links one way and then not have it because, well, it was a bug. It wasn't a bug, it was a feature 6 games later. So this game is very fast to code, especially for people who knew more of coding than I did. I've only been using Twine for about a month, and we came up with a perfectly interactive hypertext fiction game.
I see. So you manually upload the HTML to Kintone?
Yes, it was just drag and drop, and I was like, oh, thank you, because it was intuitive for me. It was intuitive for me, and then I was just going like, if only Kintone would just be its own repository hub, like but Kintone plays with WordPress, Kintone plays with GitHub, and there's all sorts of things you can do with it. I just didn't have the time, and my team didn't have the time. We came together, but anyway.
Sorry, if I may, one quick question. So how do you plan to further develop this? So you know, of course, it's really hard to do something in 2 days. So do you have plans to continue pushing this forward?
Yes,
and what's the first thing you're going to do?
Yes, we do. If all goes well, as soon as this is done, we're going to be talking to an entertainment attorney I know, a man named Mr. Gamal Tennessee, who's done work for DC and Marvel and Tokyo Pop, and to see if we can actually promote this as intellectual property. Now, the story is open source. The story is open source, but the business plan for saying it could have been a historical murder mystery. It could have been, but I really wanted to push NASA in the same way that Star Trek, the original series, inspired so many other fans to work on it that it's an open sandbox after a while, and there's a huge fan base, and there's real discussion about real science, because that's where it all comes down to. And entertainment is entertainment, but I said the difference between entertainment and fun was, is it fun? Is it factual? Is it universal? And is it needed? And if you can do all that and put a smile on a kid's face and have them growing up with a sense of wonder, it's worth it. It's worth it. The total word count for 6 years would be about 1,300,000 words, or a really thick Game of Thrones book. It would be done by multiple writers, magazine style. There's always room to play, and a single episode would cost $200. So 1 year to fund this project would be $20,800 minimum, or $124,800 for the entire 6-year lesson plan series. Like my parents would, we've got them starting from 5th grade to 8th.
I'm sorry, it's
Sorry.
yeah. It's got too much. Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. You've been very generous. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. Next up, we have COVID Map by COVID Map.
Our team name is COVID Map, and our challenge is COVID-19 Calculate the Risk. And team members are Kiyoshi Okusha, Koki Okusha, Takashi Naito, Hide Naito, and Kunimatsu Hashimoto. Next slide. Our aim of this challenge was to inform the risk of COVID-19 in different locations using Raspberry Pi. Using Raspberry Pi, GPS receiver, and temperature sensor, we can know where we are and what the temperatures and humidity around us are. The location can be turned into Google Map link. With the information of where we are, PVI risk factor can take in a number of account numbers such as COVID cases, deaths, and etc.
Koki, we lost audio. We can't hear you anymore.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
With the information of where we are, PVI risk factor can take in a number of account numbers such as COVID cases, deaths, and etc. around the location. And all of the data like location, temperature, humidity, and PVI will be sent to Kintone after running the program. This system is PVI data and location from the satellite will be sent to Raspberry Pi with temperature and humidity from the temperature sensor, and all the data will be uploaded to Kintone. We used Raspberry Pi Zero W wires, GPS receiver, and antenna, temperature sensor, and mobile battery.
In programming and location with GPS. In this program, we use GPS receiver to locate the Raspberry Pi, latitude, longitude, city, town, county, and state from the satellite. Then the location will be sent to Kintone, which is the bottom picture, and the right picture is the code for this program. Next slide. Program 2, program 1 plus temperature and humidity. In this program, temperature humidity sensor is added to the first program, and we can get the location and temperature and humidity. Different temperatures can have different risks. The data, location, and temperature humidity will be sent to Kintone, which is also the bottom picture, and the right picture is the code for this program. This table is taken from a paper published by the researcher group at Harvard University, and shows that several factors of the weathers are affecting with the COVID infection. We won't explain the details, but this is why we decided to add a temperature and humidity sensor to our system. Next slide, please. Finally, we added PVI. Oh, sorry. Program 1 plus 2 plus CVI and risk rank. In this final program, we added PVI data to program 2. PVI is a risk indicator that takes into account many factors, including the number of COVID cases, death, vaccine, uptake rate, population density, traffic on major roads, hospital environment, and air pollution, etc., etc. It is expressed as a number between 0 and 1, with a higher number indicating a higher risk. It is calculated for each of the 3,142 counties in the United States. After we get the data in the Raspberry Pi, we will be sent to Kinton. And if we explain what is a risk rank is, a risk rank is a relative measure of how risky a country is, with the 3,142 counties in the US listed in order increasing value. A risk rank is a number between 0 and 1, where the higher the number, the lower the risk. And this is how the code and the data on Kinton look like. The data is on the bottom picture, and the code for the program is on the right side.
This is a video of how it works, and first you run this program, and the results are going to show up at the bottom, and the results are going to be sent to the Kinton. And conclusion, knowing your locations and temperature can be helpful to know the risk of COVID-19 in the location around you, since COVID-19 can spread through cooler humidity or temperature. It is important for people to know the risk because COVID-19 can lead people to die or get really sick. You can use these programs in smartphones, and it's easy to carry. So carry the device and smartphone to see the risk anywhere you want.
Questions or comments?
Sure. Yes, actually, I had a couple quick questions. So the first is, why did you decide to use a new piece of hardware, rather than existing weather data? So there are lots of NOAA stations monitoring of these kinds of variables. Are you looking for higher density data? Are you trying to improve essentially the resolution of the measurement, do you think, or is there some other reason?
Can you repeat that again? I don't quite understand.
So, so there are lots of things that exist, lots of instruments that exist to take data, temperature, humidity. So your weather station at the airport, or other places around Massachusetts, around the country, and around the world, take this sort of data. So I was just asking, is the intention to increase the number of devices so that you understand more locally what the temperatures and so on are? Is that the advantage you're looking for in building this device? And how do you see it deployed? Do you see, you said people carrying it around, or do you just want to fix it to buildings or something like that? I was trying to get an idea for what sort of scope you're thinking of in terms of deployment and the reasons.
Well, we want the people to carry around. So like we want them to be safe, you know. They if we run that program, it's gonna get sent to your phone or your Kinton. And well, I'm not sure how to explain it, but and you know, like we know that COVID could spread through humidity and temperature. So you know, if we just want us to like keep safe, so like we want to know. Sorry, um,
That's okay. Don't just relax and answer the best you can. It's totally fine. No worries. All right.
so we want them to keep like in their smartphones since COVID could spread around humidity and temperature, and if and like that program sense it since like the humidity and how what is the risk rank is. So I guess this project is to keep everyone safe, I guess.
Thanks.
I think Chris had his hand up first.
So my question is, you talked about how you collect your data and then it gets sent to Kintone. And could you tell me how does the data, what do you do with it after it gets to Kintone? And does it come back to the user or does something else happen?
Well, after it gets sent, we just like keep it in there, and we don't really, we just look and like investigate a bit. That's pretty much it, I guess.
Yeah.
If like the Kintone shows the PVI in like if like, PVI is between 0 to 1, and if it's like as it gets higher, the risk will be like low. So like yeah, like, like we see the like result in Keystone.
Yeah, all the result will be in Kintone. So
Thank you.
you know. Next question. So,
I thought Sonia had one.
My question was actually very similar to Brendan's and also kind of Chris's, so I decided someone else should go.
Okay, so in that case, I will go. Well, I think it's a really great idea and it's timely also. So you chose temperature and humidity, but you probably would be able to imagine that there may be lots of other variables we call factors that may be relevant, and we call that modeling, to find out what the factors would how the risk could be calculated from the factors. So if you are to upgrade this and include more variables into that, have you thought at all about that, and how would you work with scientists to do that? Have you thought at all about that?
well, if we're going to like continue with this project, I would guess we're going to find some as a relationship with COVID spreading, and adding like humidity sensors and like other sensors that could calculate the risk, I guess. That is a relationship to COVID-19. But like we don't know what kind of other relationship are. So if we're gonna continue, we're gonna study more that is going to spread for COVID-19. And if we if we find out, then we're gonna like add if it's like really complicated, then we're gonna like ask scientists to help us. Or if we could if we could do as a team, then we could like buy machine like sensors from other stores and connect to the Raspberry Pi. I think that will be our goal, I guess, if you're going to continue.
Thank you.
Questions or comments? Well, I don't see any, so the next presenter, you could go.
Thank you, Takashi. We are at the midpoint at this point. Next up, we have Down to Earth by Down to Earth.
Hey, can you guys see us?
Yes.
How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah, so I'm Anirudh. He's Arnav.
I'm Simran. And I'm Joanne.
Yeah, we're students in the University of Massachusetts Amherst. So let me start out with a quick question. I want you guys to take a guess. How many children are affected every year by waterborne diseases in India? Any guess? So let me tell you the answer. It is 1.5 million children every year are affected by waterborne diseases every year in India. And in developing countries, especially India, water is a very important resource because farming is one of the biggest professions in India. More than 50% of the people, the workforce that are just farmers. And India is a place where thousands of rural families have to walk kilometers to find water every day. And moving on to Arnav for the problem statement.
So the Ganga River, or the Ganges as they call them in English, is one of the biggest river valleys in the world. And it is said to be one of the most fertile river basins in the world. But the problem is that not everyone has access to these resources. And this abundant supply of water is diminishing, and many rural people in the basin are not able to access the water. Another big thing is that the Ganga River is notorious for having dead bodies dumped in it, which means that the water is often dirty and unusable immediately. So our whole problem is that we have less water and we have dirty water, but that shouldn't be the case because it's a humongous river getting like tons of water from the glaciers.
Sorry for the disturbance. Can we just quit and reopen Zoom because we need to change our permissions to share screen?
Sure.
Yeah.
Hi, can you, we've actually sent a request to be let into the meeting. Can you please let us in? Yeah, thank you.
We see it.
I don't see anybody in the waiting. Okay, you're already on. Good.
Of the underground waters places through satellite data like GRACE of the GRACE satellite of NASA to like reduce the pressures on the water's resources.
So basically, the data we got from the GRACE satellite, we collected the water equivalent thickness, in short, wet, and basically it tells you the depth of how deep the underground water supply is, and it does so by there's a science behind of the energy of comparing with to how ions are shot with materials, but we use that to create the machine model.
Yeah. And a quick demo. This is our website. Right now it's running on localhost, and we talk about the importance of the river Ganga because it is a biggest river in India. And here's a solution. And now for the demo.
So that is the Ganga River basin that you can see right now. And this is a huge amount of land, as you can see. And we ran our machine learning algorithm, and as you can see, this is the line of best fit. And we had data until 2020, and we correctly predicted how much the water thickness will be for the next year or two. And we can use this data and help find, like, in specific regions within the Ganga River Basin, we can find out how much water thickness there will be in the future. And this will help us plan better irrigation systems and plan better water cleaning programs. And that will help the government or an individual consumer who wants to open a bore well or such kind of projects. It will help them access that data better.
Yeah.
So this region 1 is a very small portion, and we have data like this for about 200 regions within this, 720 regions within this basin. So this data is very specific for one region. So that's why we have highly specific data. So in our database, we have data for almost 720 different regions within this huge river basin.
Yeah. And by doing so, we reduce the pressure on just water from the river. And this will like really help the cleanliness of the water in the future.
And the beauty of our project is that the GRACE satellite data that we've used provides this information for every river basin in the world, which means that what we've used just for the Ganga River Basin can be used for any river basin in the world to properly allocate water. And I think that's why it's a truly adaptable process.
One more minute.
So if you were to continue this project later, and some features we would like to add were we could talk about the water quality. So you could that would help people know how usable it is. So if it's too contaminated, maybe people might not want to drill into that or dig into that supply. And the other one was the cost it would take, because obviously it takes some amount of financial investment if you want to dig into the water supply. And the third one was the time. So according to seasons, the amount of water thickness changes. So during the summer, it's much less compared to the monsoon season. So that would also be a feature that could help people explain when they want to do that. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. Any questions?
What machine learning model did you guys use?
As of now, we used regression using scikit-learn, but in the future, we plan to experiment with different models like random forest and era boosting to improve our accuracy.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll just ask a dumb question. So I'm looking at this chart where you have a predicted water thickness and you have sort of like time on the x-axis and water thickness on the y-axis, right? And this is like one region. So like, how is someone supposed to interpret this?
So that's actually a great question. So we actually wanted to plan and implement a GUI where we can show each region and how much water is available, because we understand that this data is not really easy to interpret, and like I understand that it's really hard to like make use of this data. But the plan officially is to find out the cost of bringing water from there, or like opening a bore well, and we can use that data to get you can use this data to get that. So that's the future scope of the project. But right now, all we can use is to show how much water is there in that region as of now.
Yeah.
So is the idea like you have many different regions and you compare them, and like depending on which region has the most water, you go and do something there? Like, what is the expected?
That could be one application, but it also could be that suppose you want to harvest a particular crop and you need this much water for it. We can predict seasonal data for you. So suppose you in June 2022 you plant a particular crop, you can use this like prediction algorithm and try to find out how much water you'll need at that time. And then you can see, okay, fine, is region 1 the best for me? Or you can see, okay, fine, I want to plant this crop in region 1. Can I use water in January, or should I plant it in March, or should I plant it in December? So that's something that we can, because we're predicting seasonal data, because that's one of the features of our algorithm. because India is notorious for having a monsoon season. That means that we get heavy rainfall for 2 or 3 months in the year. And that's really when we are able to like harvest a lot of crops. But that monsoon can be variable in each region. So that's why we find it's very useful to have seasonal data that we can predict.
I have a related question.
Okay.
What are the units of equivalent water thickness? Like, what does the number 10 mean, for example?
So equivalent water thickness is actually a ratio, and it can range between -30 to 30. And there's a really like complicated formula that I saw, but essentially it's a range that can only go from -30 to +30. And 30 means that there's like the maximum amount of water that can be held there, and -30 is the minimum. So that is the range that you can go.
Just like how in physics, a refractive index is a unit that is a value that doesn't have units because it's compared to, air or vacuum. So equivalent water thickness is compared to a standardized unit. So it is
So
always,
that it's going up, is that a good thing?
Yes.
if it's
that
going
means-
up,
yeah.
it means it's a good thing.
That means
More
there's
water. Okay. And the other related question is, you started off with asking us about children and water in India.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering if you could bring this back to that.
Yeah, sure.
Can you tell me how this will connect back to that first statement?
Yeah, so like as Arnav said, water planning is something that's not done in India. What farmers tend to do is we just take water straight out of the river, and the river is already polluted, which further leads to land pollution and not an optimized use of water basically for your crops. And Ganga Basin is the best example of this, as farming is known throughout Ganga Basin, right? So by sustainably and planning water resources well, we'll be able to decrease the pressure on water, and hence the waterborne diseases, the pollution in water, and the garbage in water is going to reduce. So that's going to help
So to
prevent spread of disease.
To add to what he said, specifically like with this data, what can be done is that if you know like the amount of water that's going to be there in a region, it's very easy to calculate the cost of cleaning it. And if a farmer or if somebody wanted to access that water, they know exactly how much they need to spend to clean that or make it usable for drinking or make it usable for farming. Whereas otherwise you're just, if you're trying to like clean all the water, or you just take unclean water and use it anyways, both of those are dangerous systems, and they're not foolproof, and they're not like, that's not a safe system to use. And that is why there's a lot of poor planning in India. And that's what we wanted to fix using these kind of prediction algorithms.
Okay, thank you. We are out of time, and we appreciate very much you sharing this with us.
Yeah.
you.
Hope you guys
Liked it.
enjoy. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have How to Bring the Fluor Out of a Faraway Planet by Sasa 2.
Fluor to Earth. Fluor to Earth by Isaya, Risa, Aika, and Daichi.
Our challenge is to bring an extraterrestrial being to Earth, and specifically, we want to design a rocket that can bring an Earth-like extraterrestrial being out of that planet's atmosphere. And we have two objectives. First, we want to make sure the rocket can escape the atmosphere without being destroyed by things such as intense heat. And second, we want to make sure that the living being survives. In other words, it meets the criteria for the survival of Earth-like beings, such as like not many temperature fluctuations or radioactive elements, etc.
So what is a floor? The floor is a prediction of a type of animal that may be on another planet. It is from the book After Man, where it predicts possible species of animals 50 million years after human extinction on Earth. In fact, it helps predict future species and environment. It can help us understand what life is in general, not just on Earth. It can help develop the concept of artificial life.
So our solution to this problem is building a spacecraft, and we have a few features of the spacecraft. One is anti-heating insulation, and we're gonna make that by doing a spray on foam for the outer coating and cork for the engines, which are insulators. And the part that actually stores the animal or the floor is there will be like a sphere inside the spacecraft, and it'll have substances and gases from the host planet so the animal can live. And there will be a xenon coating because of its unreactivity to other elements and also because of its insulating properties. There will also be a 2-foot sheet of lead surrounding the tank because that will help block radiation such as gamma rays.
Simulation. I created a simulation where floor gets onto the rocket, and I made it with Blender. Future work. Connect extraterrestrial life to core science. Simulate conditions inside a spacecraft to see if it works. Deal with the core issue.
And these are data and resources. And that's the end of our presentation. So thank you very much for listening. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, sorry. Let me ask very quickly. I'm a little bit confused about what you mean by bringing back an extraterrestrial in some sense. Are you talking about a sort of concept for something that you might find on, like, if you found some bacteria or something on Mars? It didn't look like that's what you had drawn. Or are you thinking of something that's more how should I say, more sort of fictional, conceptual? What precisely is it that you were trying to go after? Sorry for ask for the clarification. I was trying to see where this was going.
Like for now, it's more of a fictional thing, because and we didn't really do the bacteria because we want to also pursue like some of the artistic parts of it, but it definitely can be extended to things like bacteria.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so any other questions?
I see hands up. I don't.
I have a question. This is Chris. I would love to know, once you bring home the floor, what happens next?
Well, then you can like store it somewhere in a laboratory, and then scientists could investigate it and discover new life and expand their definition of life. And yeah, investigate the animal.
Great, thank you.
So that is kind of on the presumption that the floor would, well, if there is a floor out there, that it would be cooperative and would hop into your container. Is that so? Or have you thought of the process of actually sampling it wherever it is?
Well, that can't exactly be done because no such animal has been discovered. But if we compare it to Earth animals, you definitely can put animals in a container, such as maybe dogs that go to space. So if we assume the animals are similar to Earth animals, then I think it's definitely feasible.
Okay, so that's a good answer because I thought your thoughts could work the other way around. If you wanted to bring an animal from Earth to another environment in space, then you could use your ideas the other way around, sort of.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, any other questions?
I guess my question was kind of related. You have kind of designed this device that would bring something back from outer space, but like, how would you get this device into outer space to begin with? Have you sort of thought of that part of the journey?
True. It could be brought by like another spaceship, but it might be if it's like too hard to bring the whole spaceship to the other planet, then maybe we could do things such as 3D printing, which allows us to make the model once we're on the other planet. So, are there any other questions or no?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have From Lucy B by Artist of the Future.
Hello, my name is Ife Lo Joseph, but my friends call me Ife. I'm 11 year old female of African descent and a total nerd. I enjoy coding and writing, and I'm also a poet. And this is my second year with the NASA Boston Hackathon and around my 7th hackathon in general. Since there was a 2-day time span for the hackathon, I decided to take a break from coding and moved into the family business of the arts. And with that, I present to you From Lucy. From Lucy by Artists of the Future, aka Ife Joseph. I chose the Artfully Illuminated Asteroids project because I found the challenge rather interesting, for I love merging multiple subjects. My project was a multimedia stop-motion style video with poetry, music, and a collage stop-motion video. I made the background music with a sci-fi theme in mind to point out the possible knowledge that could be found in asteroids, a common theme in classic science fiction films in which the characters find answers from the great beyond. The poem was in the point of view of Lucy, who is pondering on the discoveries it might find on its journey. After the poem is shown, the paper rips to pieces, and one of the pieces finds its way to Jupiter, symbolizing how the asteroids could possibly be a part of our solar system. Here's the video.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
I will leave the atmosphere to go farther than may before me. To meet the Trojan asteroids, a mission I must adhere. For those rocks are special and hold many secrets. I'll go to ones who've seen our story, who was there when we were just specks, to the ones who held the key to life when the world wasn't as complex. Will I unlock their wisdom of their past, or will we be in the dark? Will they let us in on their origins, or will this be the ending mark?
Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you for listening.
Oh, sorry, may I ask a question?
Is it okay if I read the poem again for those
Oh
who
yeah, of course. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, please.
I will leave the atmosphere to go farther than may before me. To meet the Trojan asteroids, a mission I must adhere. For those rocks are special and hold many secrets. I'll go to the ones who've seen our story, who was there when we were just specks, to the ones who held the key to life when the world wasn't as complex. Will I unlock the wisdom of their past, or will we be in the dark? Will they let us in on their origins, or will this be the ending mark? Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't realize you wanted to go again. But no, I actually I just wanted to ask you, how did you go about composing your poem? I actually thought it was rather insightful in some sense, given what we do when we try and go and probe asteroids.
Thank you. I first was originally thinking of just continuously having it in the form of asking questions to the asteroid, but then it was getting a bit too hard for me to write, and I was continuously getting writer's block. So I went and found pictures of the Trojan asteroids to find a new perspective, and I thought of just writing it in the perspective of Lucy Ben.
It's very nice. Thank you.
Hi, I thought this was really beautiful, and thank you for that. I just was intrigued about how you went out to get the sources of your video. So you tell me how you got those materials, the images, and the background sound of the comms and the music and everything.
Two of the backgrounds, the first one in the beginning and the one with the asteroid at the very end, I drawed myself using this app Pigment. The picture of Jupiter I found on the NASA website. I used my own hand and got rid of the background. I used Canvas for the smaller details to put it all together.
Great.
And I use GarageBand. GarageBand has this little packet. They have this space packet, and that's what I use to make the soundtrack.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and just a thought, I thought it, like, some satellites go out there and then they come back with some like samples, like dust and rocks and stuff from the planets. So I thought it could be nice to make another version, maybe of one that came back to Earth and on its way back to Earth, what that feels like, kind of, and to see Mother Earth and to bring back some samples from a planet would be awesome. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I think a sequel would be nice.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I'll ask a question. Thanks for making that video. It was really beautiful. So I was wondering if like it would make any sense to, you jump through all these different scenes, and a lot of times I was wondering like what is, we're kind of exploring the history of space, right? And I'm wondering if it would be too much to add sort of textual captions explaining what's going on, or is that kind of your style or not? You know what I mean? Like when you're showing a certain scene, like, can you explain what the scene is, or is it intended to be abstract?
I was intending it for it to be abstract, yes.
Okay.
Very cool. If there are no more questions, the last presentation for the day is Web Origami Design Challenge by Jimmy in the Box.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, we are the Jimmy in the Box team, and we are made up of 2 high schoolers and 2 middle schoolers. Next slide, please. First up, we have Takeshi, who is an origami master. He has taught us a lot about origami these last few days. Hannah, me, I've done a project on Mirafold, which is a origami fold that was used on a space mission, and I have some experience in Raspberry Pi. Next, we have Yuto, who is an expert at Raspberry Pi and has done many projects with them and is also really good at origami. And last, we have Misaki, who is also an origami master and has helped with a lot of our creations we have to show you later on. Next slide. We all have diverse skills and experience like origami crafting and Internet of Things programming with Raspberry Pi. We are all wowed by how the James Webb Space Telescope uses origami like folding and unfolding. The picture to the left is a full-scale model of the telescope. And as you can see, it's very big and it's also too big to carry with the rocket. So it is folded up and launched into space. And in space, it can unfold and do its job as a telescope. Next slide, please. Our goal is to make a computerized origami models for the telescope. And by the way, the telescope's deployment process looks like a Jack in the Box for us. That's why we replaced Jack with Jimmy for our project name and respecting Mr. Webb, who supported many science projects with NASA.
I'm crafting for the primary mirror. I started with Eric Jerd's famous hexagonal tessellation to model its primary mirror. Elegant, but not that similar because hexagons overlap to spread. I customized the folding strategy to better model primary mirror. This is how I made. Oh. Oh. I'm crafting for a secondary mirror. I use tape, plastic straw, and glue and bamboo skewer to make secondary mirror, and I use the technique inspired from Hinge. Techniques are simple and used in daily.
Origami crafting for sun shields. We folded long hexagons and stacked them to model JWST sun shields. Used sheet protector as origami papers and stick 5 layers of them with strings or another origami craft. This is how we made our shield.
Hi.
Turning origami craft IoT device. Wanted our telescope models to actively do something, not only being watched passively. Integrated a Raspberry Pi with origami crafts so our models can do what the real telescope does. Our computerized origami models take
5 minutes.
pictures with cameras, keep track of current location, latitude, longitude, and elevation with GPS receivers.
So what we did actually was make these circuits to wire up a camera, push button, and a GPS receiver. We also made a Kintone app to store data from a Raspberry Pi, convert meters to feet, and show a stored location on Google Maps. Then we wrote Python apps. One app periodically takes a picture and gets the current location, latitude, longitude, and elevation, and uploads these data to Kintone. The other app detects that a push button is pressed, takes a picture, and uploads it to Kintone.
5 minutes. These are some demo videos that we took.
Hi, now I'm going to be showing you my Origami Web Telescope. It has a camera in the middle connected to the Raspberry Pi and the GPS. And when I run this program like this, just now I just took a picture and all the thing goes to Kintone. And when I roll the page, there's the photo that I took with the web.
This is my prototype, and its foundation is made up of 2 snake cubes. And right now it's folded, but you can unfold it like so. These are the sun shields, and this is the main mirror with a camera in the middle. The camera is connected to a Raspberry Pi, and the Raspberry Pi is connected to a GPS receiver and a button. When you push this button, it can take a picture from the camera, and it can get the latitude, longitude, and elevation from the GPS receiver. The pictures that it takes can be uploaded into Kintone, and tonight I want to put it on this stand and take pictures of the night sky because it's supposed to be a telescope.
Hi, now I'm going
Future work. We have limited time for this presentation, but in the future, we will try further ideas such as come up with extra tessellation strategies for origami crafting, use extra sensors such as gyroscope and magnetometer to measure the telescope model's attitude and direction. Explore applications of our origami technique to solve other challenges such as houses to take into space. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? We are happy to answer.
So I had one question for you. Now, are you thinking about if you were to, do something more with this, presenting this as something as like a public project that, you show people how you made this and they can make it like some sort of demonstration or outreach kit? Or are you thinking of this as just a way to sort of play with the structure of James Webb by yourself out of curiosity?
Thank you for the question. Well, I think it is a good idea so that to post maybe a video on YouTube so that other people can make it too. But yeah, maybe that could be one of our future works to do.
Oh, sorry, I muted myself. Yeah, no, that sounds like a wonderful thing. This would be nice to share with everybody what you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the great presentation. I was very impressed. So my first question was what Brendan just asked. So I was just curious if you had any grand ideas of even making a kit out of this and trying to sell it somewhere. But the second question, which I'm going to ask now, is so I was really impressed of all the works and the videos and presentation that you put together for this. So I was wondering. All the origami, and so it's very intricate and would take a lot of time. Did you do this all since yesterday, or did you have some? I don't know if you're even allowed, but did you have some forward thinking and even making of things parts beforehand, or did you? How long did you actually plan for all of this? Was my curiosity question.
So we planned it from Friday, and for the origami, it took us more than 3 hours to fold, just for the gold part, the web. And what about you, Takeshi?
Like
We took like first day we took all day to make our prototype. It was kind of not going well some parts because there's not enough resource to make it. So but it takes like 8 hours or something.
Yeah, I would imagine it might take a lot. It must take a lot of time. Congratulations. Anybody else?
I have questions. I just wanted to comment for the impressive origami skill, and I love the soundtrack from the Project X. Some reference for it. So my question is that after you upload the data to Kinton, do you have any filters or any plan for how do you cooperate with those data you have on Kinton? How to use it, how do you use the pictures or latitudes you get from the?
If I can answer that, as I said in my video, I was thinking of putting this outside, and since it's a telescope, with the camera I put in, I could take pictures and then upload that to Kinton and look at them later on, as just for fun, I guess. But I just thought that would be interesting. And then the where it is, the GPS receiver tells us the latitude, longitude, and altitude. It tells us where it's taking pictures from, which would be kind of interesting. So yeah,
that's great. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I see none, so I guess thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are coming right around the 3 o'clock mark at this time. We'll keep this Zoom link open. So for the participants, there will be a survey link on the general channel in Slack. Please fill it out. That is necessary for us to be able to ship swag over to you. We will have a breakout room for judges to convene. And once the judges are done deliberating and they've come up with their winners, they will come back into this Zoom chat on this Zoom meeting to announce the winners, and then we will have the closing remarks. So participants, you can stay here. We'll have some music played here for your entertainment, but the main thing for you to do is to go on to the general channel in Slack and fill out the survey. And there we are. There's the link. You can actually fill it out from this. It's also on the general channel, and we will have a breakout room for judges shortly.
Recording stopped.
My father said never give up, son. Just look how good Cassie has become. Mohammed, Mahatma, and Nelson. Not scared to be strong.
I mean, what if they say I'm no good? What if they say, get out of here, kid? You got no future.
Now you can run and just see it right. No, I'll never be no one in my whole life. All you could turn, see the way they're wrong. And get to keep on dancing all life long. My father said never give up, son. Just look what Amelia and John done. Oh, Rose and Teresa, they're war one. Not scared to be strong. Now you can run and just see they're right. No, I'll never be no one in my whole life. All you can turn, see the way they're wrong. And get to keep on dancing all life long. Yeah, you could be someone special. You've got pride in your brains and lightning in your veins. You'll go higher than they've ever gone. In you I see someone special. You've got fire in your eyes, and when you realize you'll go further than we've ever gone. Just turn it
I
on.
paid my intuition, I couldn't afford tuition. My funds was insufficient, it felt like I'm in prison. Until I realized I had to set my mind free. I was trusting statistics more than I trust me. Get a degree, good job, 401k. But I'm trying to turn K's to M's, what does it take? And maybe I could be the new Ali of music, probably. Instead of doing it just as a hobby like these boys told me to. I guess you either watch the show or you show and prove. Prove it to them or you prove it to yourself. But honestly, it's better if you do it for yourself. Never complacent till we hit the oasis. One life, don't waste it. Feel my heart racing. Success, I taste it. We on the verge of getting every single thing that we deserve.
Someone special. You've got fire in your eyes. I see heaven inside you. Go further than we've ever gone. In you I see someone special. You've got pride in your brains. You can break through those chains. You'll go higher than we've ever gone. Just turn it on. In you I see someone special. Don't go to war with yourself. Just turn it on. And you can't go wrong. skyline, look up at you. When the morning comes, I watch you rise. There's a paradise they couldn't capture, that bright infinity inside your eyes.
매일 밤 내게 날아가 꿈이란 것도 잊은 채 난 웃으며 너를 만나 Never ending forever baby You are my universe and I just want to put you first You are my universe and you make my world light up inside 어둠이 내겐 더 변했었지 길어진 그림자 속에서 And they said that we can't be together Because we come from different sides You are my universe and I just want to put you first You are my universe and you make my world light up inside My universe My universe My universe 나를 밝혀주는 건 너란 사랑으로 수놓아진 별내 우주에 넌 또 다른 세상을 만들어주는 걸 너는 내 별이자 나의 호주니까 지금의 시련도 결국엔 잠시니까 너는 언제까지나 지금처럼 밝게만 빛나줘 우리는 너를 따라 이긴 밤을 수놓고 너와 함께 날아가 When I'm without you I'm crazy 자 어서 내 손을 잡아 We are made of each other baby You are my universe and I just want to put you first You are my universe and you make the world light up inside My universe My universe My universe
어둠이 내게 뒤편했었지 길어진 그림자 속에서 And they said that we can't be together Because we come from different sides
나를 밝혀주는 건 너란 사랑으로 수놓아진 별 내 우주에 넌 다른 세상을 만들어주는 걸 너는 내 별이자 나의 호주니까 지금의 시련도 결국엔 잠시니까 너는 언제까지나 지금처럼 밝게만 빛나줘 우리는 너를 따라 이긴 밤을 수놓고 너와 함께 날아가 When I'm without you I'm crazy 자 어서 내 손을 잡아 We are made of each other baby You are my universe And I just want to put you first You are my universe And you make my world light up inside My universe My
My father said never give up, son. Just look how good Cassie has become. Mohammed, Mahatma, and Nelson. Not scared to be strong.
I mean, what if they say I'm no good? What if they say, get out of here, kid? You got no future.
Now you can run and just see that right. No, I'll never be no one in my whole life. Or you could turn, see the way they're wrong. And get to keep on dancing all life long. Just turn
I
it
paid my intuition, I couldn't afford tuition. My funds was insufficient, it felt like I'm in prison. Until I realized I had to set my mind free. I was trusting statistics more than I trust me. Get a degree, good job, 401k. But I'm trying to turn K's to M's, what does it take? And maybe I could be the new Ali of music, probably. Instead of doing it just as a hobby, like these boys told me to. I guess you either watch the show or you show and prove. Prove it to them or you prove it to yourself. But honestly, it's better if you do it for yourself. Never complacent till we hit the oasis. One life, don't waste it. Feel my heart racing. Success, I taste it. We on the verge of getting every single thing that we deserve.
someone special. You've got fire in your eyes. See heaven inside you. Go further than we've ever gone. In you I see someone special. You've got pride in your brains. You can break through those chains. You'll go higher than we've ever gone. Just turn it on. In you I see someone special. Don't go to war with yourself. Just turn it on. And you can't go wrong. You are my universe, and I just want to put you first. And you are my universe, and in the night I lie and look up at you. When the morning comes, I watch you rise. There's a paradise they couldn't capture. That bright infinity inside your eyes.
매일 밤 내게 날아가 꿈이란 것도 잊은 채 나 웃으며 너를 만나 Never ending forever baby
You are my universe, and I just want to put you first. You are my universe, and you make my world light up inside.
어둠이 내게 흔들펴냈었지 길어진 그림자 속에서 And they said that we can't be together Because we come from different sides
You are my universe, and I just want to put you first. You are my universe, and you make my world light up inside. My universe, my universe, my universe.
나를 밝혀주는 건 너란 사랑으로 수놓아진 별내 우주에 넌 또 다른 세상을 만들어주는 girl 너는 내 별이자 나의 호주니까 지금의 시련도 결국엔 잠시니까 너는 언제까지나 지금처럼 밝게만 빛나줘 우리는 너를 따라 이긴 밤을 수놓아 너와 함께 날아가 When I'm without you I'm crazy 자 어서 내 손을 잡아
We are made of each other, baby. You are my universe, and I just want to put you first. You are my universe, and you know that up inside. My universe, my universe, my
Shut it down.
Silencers imminent. Silencers imminent. Silencers imminent.
You are my universe, and I just want to put you first. And you are my universe, and you make my world light up inside. In the night I lie and look up at you. When the morning comes I watch you rise. There's a paradise they couldn't capture. That bright infinity inside your eyes.
오늘 밤 내게 날아가 꿈이란 것도 잊은 채 나 웃으며 너를 만나
Never ending forever, baby. You are my universe, and I just want to put you first. You are my universe, and you make my world light up inside. 어둠이 내게 눕혀놨었지. 길어진 그림자 속에서.
And they said that we can't be together because we come from different sides.
You are my universe, and I just want to put you first. You are my universe, and you make my world light up inside. My universe.
들어주는 girl 너는 내 별이자 나의 호주니까 지금은 싫어도 결국엔 잠시니까 너는 언제까지나 지금처럼 밝게만 빛나줘 우리는 나로 따라 이긴 밤을 수놓고 너와 함께 날아가 When I'm without you I'm crazy 자 어서 내 손을 잡아 We are made of each other baby You are my universe and I just want to put you first You are my universe and you make my world light up inside My universe My
Recording in progress.
All right, everyone. After a nail-biting 30 minutes, we're back here in the main session for the awards. The judges spent a lot of time deliberating your submissions, and in a minute, you'll get to see the results. But before we go there, just make sure your checklist is all complete. We've got, you've submitted your projects, you've submitted your documents, you've presented today. Now, the next thing for you is, if you haven't done it already, please fill out the survey, which is where we will have your shipping address and we will be able to ship you some awesome coasters and a 3D sticker. So please make sure you're filling out the survey. If you haven't already done so. In addition, of course, the survey has feedback about the event itself. This is really, really, really useful for us. We take your feedback seriously, and we improve ourselves and how we organize this going forward based on feedback we get from you, as well as, of course, the deliberations we do as organizers after the event. So please help us and fill out the survey as well. That being said, we are going to have the winners announcement. So I would hand the podium over to Brandon to announce our second prize winner.
Oops, sorry, I had to get myself off of mute. So just very briefly, I'd like to say that everybody put in a wonderful odd range of creativity and the thought that everybody put into their projects. So it's always a very hard decision, and we had to sit there and, I should say, bash our heads together, and we finally came out with a number two, or a number, or number two winners, and so on. And the number two prize goes to Lucy B, I think is the name of the project. Did I get that right? I'm gonna say, oh, thank you, Artists of the Future. It was a very enjoyable presentation, and the poem itself was quite creative. And I'll just say as a personal note that some of my collaborators on that, I think, would rather enjoy seeing that. So I hope that you continue your work into the future on this. And I'll hand it off to Sonia to do the rest of the announcements.
Right. Thanks, Brandon. So just again, as Brandon said, there were a lot of good submissions. It was very hard for us to come up with, only 2 winners. So we actually have an honorable mention because we really had to, I think we wanted to give honorable mentions to more people, but we still came down to 1, and that is, I think it's Zekai. We go to the next slide. Yes, Space Zekai. So this was the one about a game, and I lost the. It was very entertaining. I remember. Sorry, I'm like trying to pull up the presentation. Yeah, this is the one about sort of a game that's kind of simulates going to Mars. I think it was just a very sort of animated presentation, and there was like pretty impressive use of sort of 3D modeling, which I don't even know how to do it right now. So it was very impressive what this team was able to come up with. But I think the thing everyone wants to know is the grand prize winner. So that goes to Team Jimmy in the Box. We were very impressed with the amount of prototyping and sort of putting together an actual model that this team was able to do. And the sort of even the presentations, the videos that you all created were very impressive. So again, I think that all of this would be very difficult for me, even like with all the equipment that I have. So congratulations to Team Jimmy in the Box. And I think next up is the best use of Kintone, which I will hand over to.
Okay, if you're on stage.
Okay.
So our best use of Kintone goes to COVID map, team number 5. I thought it's very impressive to get location data and all the temperature and PBI risk rank, and also the data they collect to Kintone has a lot of good potential in practical use case, and such as notifying people who has a higher exposure to COVID with Kintone notification feature. So I thought it'd be a great use for Kintone API. I'll pass it back to Harish.
Thank you, Yoke. So the winners, we have some prizes for you. The first place winner gets a Circuit Scribe build your own drone kit. So hopefully you can make good use of this to build your own drone, and certainly you can use your creativity. And I'm hoping to see some origami in there where you can actually make your own drone, hopefully out of some origami art as well. So that's what you get. That's right. So this should be fun. The second prize gets a Circuit Scribe mini kit, which comes with a bunch of sensors and a silver conducting pen that you can use to just draw a circuit on any surface, really speaking. And you can connect these sensors to form a fully closed circuit along with the power supply and things like that. So pretty fun. You don't need a PCB anymore if you want to just create a circuit. So with that, you also have the best use of Kintone, which is a special swag bundle that the best use of Kintone team will also get. So congratulations to the winning members. I will again request you to please fill out the survey. We need to capture all the information you have in order to send you your prizes, and certainly to all the participants, great job. This is every single year we are impressed with the amount of work you put in and the creativity and out of the box thinking you come up with to come up with the solutions for some of the world's most challenging problems. And Boston is really heads and shoulders in the type of talent it has in order to solve this. So thank you for your continued participation in the NASA International Space Apps Challenge. And we will be seeing you next year, but I would leave it to Chris Carr to come up with the final remarks. And Chris, just to remind you, is an assistant professor at the Georgia University of Technology's Guggenheim School of Aerospace Engineering, School of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences. He is an engineer and a scientist in training with training in aeroastro, electrical engineering, medical physics, and molecular biology. So I would hand the mic over to Chris to come up with the closing remarks.
Thank you. Okay, can everyone see that and hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, well, it's a pleasure to be here. I want to just first say thank you to all of the participants. This is, you've done a huge amount of work. You've been part of this global event. And I really just want to say it was quite fun to hear the results of all your efforts over the last couple of days. And so I'd also like to thank the Binovative team for putting this on, not just this year, but for many, many years now. And that takes a lot of work. And we hope that you've had a good time and hopefully learned something and can take it to the next step. Humankind really needs you. And I hope you got inspired by some of the challenges that are out there, all these different things that NASA proposed, but also there's so many more. So hopefully you can get inspired by some of those things and keep working on your projects or maybe a new project. And I can't wait to see where you go with it. And now on that note, I want to talk a little bit about success and maybe something we talk about less, failure. And I think these are both really important. And so I want to reflect on some of those in the context of my own career. And I'm at Georgia Tech now, but I was at MIT before that for about 25 years as an undergraduate, a graduate student, a postdoc, a research scientist, and a lot happens in 25 years. So I've been sort of pursuing my dreams of contributing to space exploration, and there have been some of both of these. And so one of the things we've been working on are space instruments to look for life. And on the left, you can see a nanopore sequencing device. It's used to read out the sequence of DNA or RNA bases. For reference, a human genome, which is composed of a DNA, has about 3 billion bases. Each base is a chemical structure that we typically just call a letter like A, C, T, or G. And we can sequence that and we can learn, about the likelihood of getting a disease, but we can also use that to study the history of organisms going all the way back 4 billion years of connection to the earliest forms of life. And we could also, it turns out, do that to look for life on Mars, because Mars and Earth have shared billions of tons of rock due to large meteorite impacts. So we're trying to build an instrument to look for life on Mars that's similar to life on Earth. And we've also been working with some Japanese collaborators from Masateru Taniguchi's lab at Osaka University to adapt a technology they developed to detect single molecules, the little tiny building blocks of life, DNA or RNA, but also amino acids that make all the proteins that are the machinery of our cells. So I'm going to tell you about a recent project we had. We spent a lot of time during the pandemic working on some hardware that we wanted to fly on parabolic flight, which is an aircraft that basically flies up and down like a roller coaster and allows us to experience a short amount of weightlessness, like floating in space, or simulate gravity levels on the moon or Mars. And so we spent all this time. It was still in the middle of the pandemic, but we assembled our hardware, and you can see it here strapped to the floor of the aircraft. And it doesn't matter about the details too much, except for you can see this red box. That is a low noise amplifier. It takes a very small signal and amplifies it so we can detect it. And then we record it on the computer. You can see the laptop on the right. Now we also have this black box on the left, And in there is this actual nanogap chip that we're using to detect single molecules. And here's the challenge. It has a little tiny connector. So we worked for months and months getting this hardware ready, getting it tested, coordinating everything, getting it bolted to the aircraft. And then we went and we plugged in the connector on this last little thing, and that pin on the lower right corner, the pin broke. And we pretty much thought it was over. We weren't going to be able to get our data. We weren't going to be able to have a successful experiment. And, but, it seemed like it was over, but then we decided, you know what, let me call the person. There's like one person who runs the company that builds this instrument. There's a little piece in here he can replace. So we called him up. He rushed into his lab. He made a new circuit board with this connector on it. He sent it to us overnight. We got it the next morning. We integrated it into the instrument, and we got to fly. And as you can see, it's pretty fun. I'm doing some very important work here, monitoring the hardware. And I would encourage any of you, if you ever get the chance to fly on parabolic flight, it is simply marvelous. It's one of the reasons I do this, because I find the work very fun. And this is probably one of the highlights, is getting to experience weightlessness. So, that was ultimately a success, but along the way, there's also a bunch of failures, and I'm going to mention some of those in a moment. So I would encourage you, in the projects that you are doing, in the career you are following, in the life that you are creating, take the long view. Don't just think about tomorrow, but work toward the longer term. And so what happened to me in the last 25 years at MIT, I found a better half. I acquired a couple of children, and the ones on the right are the children, just to be clear. I met and worked with some fantastic graduate or postgraduate advisors, David Newman, Gary Ruvkin, and Maria Zuber. And I'm infinitely grateful to them. We did some research at three different times. We went to this active volcano in the Andes and studied microbes living in the acid hot springs that have similar chemistry to Mars. We did 4 different parabolic flights over the years. And we did 5 different, a little bit earlier than that, we did 5 different solar electric vehicle races, including in Japan. And that was an amazing adventure. And it also took a lot of teamwork, and it also involved failure at different times. So a lot of overcoming. 5 different departments at MIT and Mass General Hospital, where I worked in the molecular biology department. 5 different trips to Japan. 7 different research projects now. So I think if you look at this slide in particular, you might say, wow, you've got all this, I have millions of dollars of funded research, and I get to work on these projects. It's really exciting for me personally to study life beyond Earth, or how microbes inhabit extreme environments, or to have a project that's going to go to the space station. But there's also failures in there. And even I think you should consider what you're doing now. It actually informs what you might do in the distant future. So here's an example of a rock sample I collected when I was 9 years old, some olivine from a beach in Hawaii. And it turns out we used it in some papers we wrote just a few years ago. And that was really exciting. But on the other hand, I learned a lot from all the people around me. So I'd encourage you to do the same. Learn from teachers, learn from students, learn from everyone, because everyone has something to teach you. And I learned a lot from the students that I interacted with when I was teaching, for example. And over those 25 years, that's a lot of years, I also submitted a lot of proposals to get funding to do interesting work. And I had 36 of them that failed. And so I want you to think about, when you fail, that's going to help you do better. You try to learn from that and overcome it and take the next step. The other thing I was reflecting on was, of all the things that we've published, the research we've done, almost all of it was very collaborative, working with other people. So get to know other people in your life, professionally, personally, and your peers are some of the best resources you have in work and in life. It took me 15 years to get a faculty job. I was after I got my PhD. So it took me 15 years of doing research and applying. And I think I submitted 50 job applications, and I was rejected, almost every time. I got interviews sometimes, but ultimately I did get a faculty job at Georgia Tech. So it only takes one success to get that, to take that next step. So I would encourage you to be persistent and also think about, what's the right thing for you. You might decide that maybe you're going to take a different road, and that's okay too. I also want to just say I had a chance to work with 66 different students, postdocs, and people who decided to work with me in the lab, and that was amazing. So I want to leave you with some grand challenges that I think are important in my life, and I hope that you might find them important as well. One, to me, is find or bring life beyond Earth. I want to find out, what is our place in the universe? How did we come about? And where can we go? Another is, how do we enable sustainable living, not just on Earth, but in other places? And I truly believe if we can live on Mars, we can live sustainably here on Earth. Another one is that biology is actually engineering. Now, right now, we think of, biology as being very complicated, but 100 years from now, we will have a good enough understanding of life to design it. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean we should in all different aspects, but we'll have that capability. And I think we should use it to make sure that everyone can live out a healthy lifespan. They can extend their health span, and they can live out their life in a healthy way. And we might even think about extending lifespan. There are definitely going to be ways to live longer, but I think that health span is ultimately more important, that we should be able to live as healthy as possible for as long as we can. And the other one is that technology does not have to equal injustice. There are a lot of ways today in which technology, if we're not careful, can lead to injustice. But I believe that we can develop new technology and then use it in ways that does not promote injustice, that we in fact promote justice. So a few life lessons for me. I think these are particularly apt in today's climate. We are more similar than different. We are more similar than different by our genetic material and by everything that follows from that. And I hope we can find that commonality between the US and Japan, but also across the world. I also think it's okay to take care of yourself. And it's okay. Also, I would recommend that you seek activities that give you a sense of the state of flow, where time just goes by because you're enjoying it so much, or you're so integrated in that task or the moment that time passes without you perceiving it directly. That's a state of flow. And I think some people get it with art or coding or music or other things. And I hope that you can have that as a part of your life. The other is show up. A lot of the time, showing up is 80% of the hard work. You've got to be there you've got to throw the dart to get a bullseye. So show up. Also know the risks and be willing to change direction. If something you're doing isn't working, you might just want to try it another day. I remember one of the first times I turned around on a mountain trying to get to the summit. It was a great decision because everyone ended up healthy and we could go again when the weather was better and try again. And I would ask the question, what can you do without anyone's permission? Because sometimes those are the most powerful things. They come from you. Be open and engaged, be open to new information. Even if you disagree, hear someone out and really listen and let that information, and maybe don't judge it immediately. We need more of that. Also align what's going on in your outside world to your inside motivation. I think if you do that, you'll be able to sustain what you're doing and go really far. And I think we all know life is bigger than us, and the world really needs our input and our contributions and our love. And also consider, what is success for you? Is it really the outcome? Do you need a certain outcome to be happy? Or is it really about doing your best, working hard, and doing something that's meaningful, that process? And finally, I mentioned before, we'll be able to engineer life, but that doesn't mean we should do that. And I think we, as technology evolves, we always have to ask the question, should we? Finally, I would say everything is magic. And what I mean by that is we are living, we are self-aware, and we have this connection to something way beyond our perception. We are connected to life through a chain of 4 billion years, and to stars, and to stardust, before that. And I just find that incredible. That is magical to me, that we have that awareness. So with that, I will say thank you. And I hope you go on to do great things, and I can't wait to find out what they are. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chris. I love your closing every year. So I shouldn't say this, but I really appreciate that its event is online, so that even Chris moved to the Georgia, with us, and also the Dr. Masami Onoda can join from DC. That things to be honest, really appreciate this year. So and everyone, thank you so much. I hope everyone enjoyed and learned a lot of stuff, and then your innovation gonna help the Earth, not only NASA but human being, helping COVID, fun, all kind of stuff. So hope I see you guys next year. And again, don't forget to put your mailing address so that we can send you your memory of this awesome weekend. I would like to conclude this event now. So if you guys speak up, shall I unmute already? All right. So I'm gonna leave this room like another few minutes. So if you guys leave, say something, and you can leave anytime.
Congratulations, everybody. It was a wonderful time. And all the projects are really, really, really amazing.
I agree. It was amazing. Congratulations to all the winners. And I'm really proud to see all the projects and the participants. Phenomenal work, everyone.
Omida-san, can I visit the office sometimes in DC?
Yes, sure, please do.
So let's go from Boston.
Yes, you're all very welcome to visit our office in DC. Well, it's a small office, but we have a great rooftop, so we can have a party there.
Wow. I love your poster in the behind. You guys
actually,
have.
This is my home office.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my office is probably a bit better. Yes.
But then yesterday opening, we are watching your awesome poster in the back. Oh my God. Yeah. I want
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this Hoshide-san is coming back pretty soon, beginning of November from the National Space Station, beginning of November. And we'll be launching the next batch, Crew 3, to the International Space Station.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I know you came to Boston last year. That's why I had a chance to connect to you. So
yes,
if you come back to Boston soon, then,
yeah,
we're gonna go to see you.
Definitely, definitely.
I'd say this was great. We all had a lot of fun organizing the event. I would love to see your projects move forward. So if you are taking the projects that you've done here and doing more with it, the organizing team would love to hear from you. Let us know where you ended up with your projects.
What's the best way to reach you if we have some success with the project? Just
info@spaceappschallenge.org, wherever you've been emailing us before. You've
Okay.
gotten a bunch of emails from us.
okay, okay. Thank you very much.
Well, so sorry about that. I was just going to, I just want to say I'm actually going to sign off now, but I want to thank everybody again for the presentations. Very much enjoyed it, and I wish everybody the best of luck on all of your continued endeavors.
Thank you, Brandon.
So what about any comment from winner team?
I'll just comment that I think you have a great, if you're interested in making some kind of kit, the launch is coming up. And so it might be a good time.
Thank you for your comment. Yeah, I try. We'll try. Something like that.
Let's see global judging. Who knows?
I'm going to sign off as well, but it was a pleasure to meet all of you, and I wish you the very best. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, so
Recording stopped.
I will close this room. Again, thank you. Once again, thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you very much to the Kinton team as well. This has been great.
Thank you very much for using Kinton.
Thanks to the organizers. This was, I'm sure it was a ton of work to put all this together.
Well, thank you, pleasure.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. And if anybody wants to visit us, like we just said, just shoot me an email or shoot Eriko-san an email so she could shoot it back to me. And
Sure.
happy to talk with you.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure to be in this event. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good work.